Oh,
Hey guys, it's Cam for 15, joined by my uncle Daryl, and we're back with our NFL weekly recap as well as our weekly NFL Week 4 predictions going into this week. This week was very interesting with some of the games, some upsets, and some things we expected, but very intriguing week. So let's get to it. Thursday night game last week, it was Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. The Browns ended up winning that game. And it looked like it was going to be a low scoring back and forth game, but the Browns eventually took pretty much control of the game, and then the Steelers offense is kind of inept right now, and it can't really move the ball other than the big catch that George Pickens made that I guess reminds people of Odell Beckham Jr. Kind of it, but the Browns get a much needed win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh, the fans are still calling for Kenny Pickett to start. I don't know. I didn't see much of this game. I was away, but hey, that's just my thoughts.
Trubisky, man, what can I tell you? I'm sorry. I think everything is in place for Trubisky to succeed. He's got the running back. He's got the wide receivers. They've got a scheme. They got a defense. Now, the offensive line, okay. But for me, things are in place for Pittsburgh to win offensively. And for whatever reason, they're just not doing it. And the only thing I can think of is obviously Trubisky. So I say get Pickett up in there. Get Pickett up in there before they on the outside looking in. Because Baltimore ain't no joke. Baltimore ain't no joke, man.
Yep. All right, so that's our thoughts. Moving on. Now I did this game recap by myself because my uncle was at his Oktoberfest. But this was the Chicago Bears versus Houston. Huh?
I had fun. You have got to come visit.
Okay.
You got to come visit.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
The Chicago Bears versus the Houston Texans. I predicted this game would be
both picked the Browns to win this game?
Yes, we both picked the Browns, so we're 1-0.
Okay.
So I predicted the Bears would win this game close, and they sure enough did win this game close. By the skin of their hair or teeth. Now, Houston Texans, credit to them, they gave the Bears a freaking fight. Davis Mills, even though statistic-wise it looks good, it still was okay for him. He threw a late game pick to Roquan Smith that pretty much killed the game for them. So that's kind of the thing.
Honestly, on that interception, what I think he saw him at the last minute and the ball just sailed out of his hand. Yeah. He might have even tried to throw the ball down in the ground.
Ball was tipped, actually. Ball was tipped.
It was tipped. It looked like to me that he just didn't see Roquan or he saw him at the last second. That's what it looked like to me. But Bears won. It was a close one. Roquan pretty much, he played lights out, man. He heard the criticisms from the week before and he responded.
Yep. Again, credit to the Houston Texans. They're a hard-fighting team. I thought they had many chances to put the Bears away in this game. They didn't. On one pick, Justin Fields threw, which we'll get into a bit. Davis Mills gave a pick right off a tip ball back to Eddie Jackson, so that pretty much killed a touchdown there. They honestly, they should have won this game. The more you look at it, especially with the bad quarterback play from the Bears. But the Bears found a way to win. They mostly found a way to win due to the rushing game. Now, David Montgomery, he got hurt, but Khalil Herbert came in. If you watch my game recap, I said the one thing that I do appreciate Khalil Herbert a lot more than David Montgomery is with Montgomery, he kind of goes into the hole and kind of just dances around taking contact. While Khalil Herbert, he gets into the hole and he just goes on a burst. He just sprints through it and just goes on.
Once he gets to the outside, man, it is kind of like that dichotomy of lightning and thunder, so to speak. Montgomery really likes running between the tackles, whereas Khalil pretty much once he gets out on the edge, man, it's anything can happen. Khalil is faster than Montgomery. He's probably a little bit more elusive than Montgomery, but Montgomery is still considerably elusive as well. So it's a really good running back combination. I hate the fact that, Montgomery did get hurt, but, in years past, we've never really had a solid backup, and now this year we do. So it was a pretty good watching Khalil Herbert come in and pretty much keep the train on the backs. Because if he couldn't, Bears would have easily lost this game.
Yeah. Defense, I thought they did a much better performance. In some cases, there's still room for improvement, but they gave me a much better performance. Roquan definitely stepped up. That's how you earn your money.
Yep.
I made that comment in my game recap. Yep. You want to make the money you're talking about?
Yep.
Make the plays you made. I thought he made impact plays. I thought he made, obviously, the game-winning play to get the interception. On the Bears side of things, for young quarterback play, Justin Fields, again, my game recap I talk more about that. Now, after sitting on it a few days, yes, do I still feel bad? Yes. The one thing is Justin Fields absolutely right now within the first 3 weeks. I guess you can take out the week 1 with the exception because of the freaking conditions. But I said in my video, he honestly is regressing like freaking crazy, and this needs to turn around. Now, yes, some of it is due to play calling. And some of it is due to the receiver play, the fact that guys are not getting open, but some of it's also due to him. There's a few times you go on the all-22, there are guys open. He's holding the ball too long, and I don't know if he's not seeing guys or, maybe the pressures of the rush is getting to him. My personal opinion of what just is going on with Justin Fields right now is, and I think I've seen this across pretty much all the mediums of Chicago media, is they're all coming to an aspect of, I think he's overthinking it a lot more. He makes a mistake. He goes over to the bench and he's probably like, fudge, yada, yada, yada. And he's in his head. I think he's overthinking it too much. And you can see that he's losing confidence in himself. And even some of these other people in the Chicago media, they're saying like, yeah, right now I'm not giving up on him yet, but I'm at this point, and I said in my game recap, I'm getting nervous and I'm getting worried, because this is starting to give me the last guy vibes right here. Mitchell Trubisky, when he started to lose his confidence, he started to get in his own head. And I wasn't a fan of Trubisky, but I can see it. I think Justin Fields, he's getting into his head too much. Yes, he played like garbage. He's got to play better. But it's only 3 games in. If this keeps progressing over and over and over, week to week, I'm not saying put in Trevor Siemian because you should give him a full season, but it's really going to be something that Ryan Poles has to think about. Be like, well, if he's not at least looking solid, like we're just asking for a solid performance, they might be looking for a quarterback next year. That's all I'm going to leave it at that. But hopefully Justin Fields has a good week next week. We'll talk about the predictions. But I just think he's overthinking it. I just think he's way overthinking things right now, and he's making things harder on himself.
Well, and that very well may be true. And how you combat that is communication. What I noticed a couple of times on the sideline is when he would make a really big mistake, he would go sit in isolation. That's not good for a young quarterback. Don't sit in isolation. Go find Getsy. Go say, man, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? What did I not see? And talk to your coach. During the preseason, I noticed he talked with his coach. He conversed with his coach. He got education from his coach. Now, but Sunday was just it was just the opposite. He sat in isolation. There was one I caught him sitting like maybe 5 feet away from Darnell Mooney. It was just like the frustration was all in his face, and I can hear it. The Chicago media is a rough media town as well too, and I'm pretty sure that he's had a lot of people in his ear over the past couple of weeks. I would probably encourage him to, talk to your coaches. If you are talking to your coaches, talk to them more. So try to find out exactly what you're missing, and I think he'll be fine. But yeah, you're right. He needs to get out of his own head and just play, man. Just play.
Yeah, there's too many times you watch the all-22. There's guys open. He's not letting it go. He's holding the ball too long. For example,
let it go.
That one, the first drive, he runs off, scampering for almost like 40 yards. Guys are open. He just doesn't let it go. And he steps back. He's looking. Boom. Lets it go. Hey, we're good. Yeah, he's in his own head. I think it's going to take
And to me, that could be a trust issue. It could be either he don't trust himself or he doesn't trust the player that is open. Now, if he don't trust the player that is open, then he just got to get over that. Because in the end, once that ball goes up in the air, he's got to trust that his receiver is going to be able to come down with that rock. But if he's not throwing the ball, then yeah, he needs to go head over to his coach, so his coach can iron out those little itty bitty things that's going on between his ears.
Yeah, I think for Fields, it's gonna take one good game, and when it takes that one good game, maybe it clicks for him, and it's like, you know what, maybe I'm good. I'm just inside myself. But the Bears won.
Again, you're right. He's got to sling that rock when he has an opportunity to.
Yep. So Bears won the game. Right now, we both took the Bears close, so we're up 2-0. All right, the Titans versus the Las Vegas Raiders. This was a very interesting game here, with the Titans coming out on top. In the game, the Raiders, they were trailing all game, but the Raiders make a drive to where they get all the way down there. They skip the touchdown. They need to get the 2-point conversion to do the tie, and they don't get it. It was a weird freaking play that was weird anyways. But the Titans get back on track. They win this game. As for the Las Vegas Raiders, they fall down to 0-3 in the AFC West, and they're not in a good position right now.
Not in that division.
Yeah,
not in that division. You slowly hear or slowly see the competition within that division, and actually that division didn't have a good week.
Nope, except for the Broncos. Probably
didn't have a good week. I think that we might have put too much pressure on, or gave this division too many accolades. We got Russell Wilson, who just hadn't really been able to do anything in this division. Justin Herbert had 2 bad weeks in a row. Obviously the issues with the Raiders, and we'll get to it a little bit later on with the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm sure. But this whole division just had a rough week.
Yeah, not good week for the Raiders.
And we picked the Raiders, didn't we?
I picked the Titans. You picked the Raiders.
Yeah, I was about to say I picked the Raiders. So it just, it was a toss. Well, shouldn't really been a toss up. I mean, for me, on paper, the Raiders got the better overall offense. The Titans may have a better defense, but just, I don't know, man. The Raiders just, they're making me scratch my head.
Yeah. It's not looking good. Apparently, I guess there's reports saying Davante Adams is already pissed. I'm like, uh-oh. Well,
what do you expect, bro?
It's a problem that the Raiders have to figure out, and they're going to play a division rival in the Broncos, which, hey, we'll talk about later. Speaking of the next AFC West team, we just referenced them. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Colts. Now, we thought the Colts, the way they were playing, they would have no chance at winning this game. But they somehow pull off the upset, and they actually end up beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, funny enough, I just watched the game highlight recap of the game on NFL's YouTube page, and pretty much the Chiefs had the game. It came down to their kicker missing a few kicks. He missed an extra point after they scored a touchdown, and he also missed a field goal kick to at least extend the lead to, I think 23 or something like that. Points, and hey, the Colts just fought every tooth and nail to freaking score, and Matt Ryan, leads a touchdown drive with 22 seconds left to go in the game. And the Colts end up upsetting the Chiefs and winning the game. Honestly, I think this game was more the Chiefs beating themselves than the Colts beating the Chiefs. Sky Moore, he had like a fumble. He had a punt fumble, which didn't get them off to a good start. So I think this game was more the Chiefs beating themselves.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can honestly tell that the Colts really wanted this game. Yeah. I mean, the Colts have not played well at all this year. They tied with the Texans, and then they lost the following week. They just have not played with at all. I mean, so this was a really big victory for them. And, you never know. I mean, it does add some interesting drama to the AFC South, Considering Tennessee won, Indianapolis won, and and we'll get to the other. We talked about the Texans. Texas had a close one, and I know we're going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars a little bit later on as well too. So the AFC South is not as bad as what we thought it was going to be to start out this year. It's just not that one-trick pony that we thought they'll start the season out. So it was a good win for Indianapolis because, they need to actually do something in this division.
Yeah. Honestly, from the Chiefs' perspective, I feel like this loss doesn't hurt that much because if you look at the landscape of the AFC East, I mean the AFC West,
Yeah.
Raiders, they're not looking good. Broncos offense,
Broncos suck. The Chargers have lost 2 in a
they lost 2 in a row. And plus, we'll talk about the Chargers game, but they are injury ridden right now, and they are losing guys.
Correct. And they're losing them everywhere. And then I just noticed about the Chargers is that they don't have very much depth. They don't. I mean, keep in mind, if you look at the injury history of a lot of players on this team, Bosa's got a significant injury history. Max got a significant injury history. Eckler has got a significant injury history. Now, keep in mind, it's football. You're supposed to expect that. But I got to admit, man, all 3 of these guys went down in just this one game. Now, I think Eckler wound up coming back. But, man, it's just they have very little depth on the Chargers.
Yep. So, record-wise, I'm 3-1. My uncle is 2-2. Next game. Yep. I watched this game. Insane game. The Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins pull off the upset. They managed to score a late touchdown to beat the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills had a 4th down to try to score a touchdown. But Josh Allen, unsurprisingly, I'm guessing the ball slipped out of his hands and it didn't get nowhere close to the receiver. I guess I don't blame the humidity's there. It was super hot. There was guys on the Bills sideline damn near collapsing because of the damn heat there. Because the one thing in Miami is, and when you play in Miami, especially when it's got the humidity and the heat, the sun is always on the away team sideline, while the Miami Dolphins, they're in the shade. So that plays a very critical point. So there was many times Buffalo Bills players were.
Let's say the construction of the stadium, maybe, because I know a lot of teams they'll do something of that nature just to try to gain some type of advantage.
Yep, I guess so.
I mean, because I got to admit, I've noticed that quite a bit when teams go to Miami is that Miami's in the shade and the opposing team is in direct sunlight.
Yeah, and it clearly affected them. There were players that were pretty much having heat problems and everything. I don't blame them. Trust me. I live in California where it gets hot all the damn time.
Yeah.
We don't have that humidity heat, but we have that dry heat. And when you're sitting in the sun for long periods of time, it does get mentally draining.
Yeah.
On your body.
Then on top of your shoulder pads, you got the helmet on, and it does have an effect on you later on. And then Buffalo is not used to being in that kind of heat because they normally they play in a stadium where for all intents and purposes when the winter hits, it's true winter. So Buffalo will have an opportunity to get Miami back. So Miami's got to go to Buffalo. And they're going to come up with the opposite, the adverse. So we'll see how that happens because hot weather teams traditionally don't play very well in cold weather stadiums. So we'll see. But we did talk about it, though. We did talk about how Miami could very well win this game, although I think we went with Buffalo. But it didn't shock me not one bit that Miami won because Miami is actually – very good. They are. So, but I will be looking. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens when Miami goes to Buffalo.
Yeah. Interesting thing. I guess there's a lot of talk about the fact that Tua, it looked like he might have potentially had a concussion. He got taken out and then he got brought back in. A lot of discussion, like, should he have even been in the game after that point? But hey, if I guess the doctor's saying he's good to go, then he's good to go.
Jalen Waddle also got, I think, nicked up this game too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they look next week.
Yeah. Good win. The funny thing I guess also at the game was the fact that there was a point in the game the Dolphins were backed in their own end zone. they punt the ball and it punts off somebody's butt to the point it ends up in a safety. And I legitimately thought, I'm like, oh shoot, are the Miami Dolphins gonna freaking choke this game away? But Josh Allen was just a little bad, I guess, slipped ball thrown away from winning the game there. But I think there's more of a game again, just like with the Chiefs. The Bills beat themselves because they had opportunities to expand their lead. But hey, that's what happens when you keep these teams in these games for a long period of time. So right now, record is
their divisional games tend to, swing this way.
Yep. Record is I'm 3-2. My uncle is 2-3. All right. Next game was the Detroit Lions versus the Minneapolis.
Would have made you 4.
Huh? What?
I thought they would have made you 4-1.
No.
You went with Buffalo?
I went with Buffalo.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I thought you went with Miami. Okay, all right. I don't feel so bad now.
Next game is the Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings win late thanks to Kirk Cousins throwing a touchdown wide open to, I forgot the player, but I guess the Lions had a breaking coverage and they lost in only a Lions way to lose. But for majority of this game, the Lions absolutely were dominating the Minnesota Vikings. The problem is they just didn't finish the game off the way they needed to finish. Again, credit to the Vikings for staying in the game. And again, putting themselves in the best position to win. Again, it's the same thing with the Lions. They had a good complete control of the game. They just didn't finish, and they had a bust in coverage, and that leads to them losing that game. But hey, the Lions are playing teams very tough. Even if they're not going to be as good as the next person, they look like a really solid team. They gave freaking what might be the division winner of this year, the Minnesota Vikings, in their own building problems.
Yeah.
And it seems, and this right now, this is 2 weeks where the Minnesota offense is somewhat sputtered. It happened with Philadelphia a week ago. Now, Detroit, they made sure, like, okay, we only held them to 24 points, but we still pretty much had complete control. We just let up at the end. So I don't know if that's a bad sign for Minnesota right there. They definitely got to play better because it's starting to look like that Green Bay game is just an aberration because Green Bay is starting to look a little bit better as the weeks go on. While Minnesota, they're not looking so good. Detroit, hey, they're not expected to do anything big, but hey, as long as they're fighting, Dan Campbell, whatever he's got cooking up in there, it's working there. They're fighting. I'll give them that.
Well, we've been talking about Detroit all year long. We've always said that we really like how the Detroit Lions are playing this football year. We pinpointed 2 teams this year as teams that we are really heavily looking at. One of them was the Detroit Lions, and obviously the other was Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Detroit Lions, they look really good. Now moving forward, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he went down with an ankle injury. DJ Chark, for some strange reason, he's after having that really good first game, he's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit. But I think all in all, they had this game. I'd probably say of the 60 minutes that a football game is, I'd probably say Detroit probably controlled 50 of it. And they just faltered at the end. Just a couple of blown coverages, and you can say what you want about Kirk Cousins, but any good quarterback, when he sees a blown coverage, should be able to take advantage of it. And that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, we both took Detroit in this game, so I'm 3-3. My uncle's 2-4. Next game, the Ravens versus the New England Patriots. The Ravens, they won pretty convincingly. It was a little bit of a back and forth for a good chunk, but the Ravens started to pull away at the end of the game. Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson things, obviously. Big thing about this game comes down to Mac Jones. Apparently, I guess he suffered a high ankle sprain, so he's going to be out a few weeks. That sucks for the Patriots because they got to go to Brian Hoyer, which
they got no quarterback. They got no wide receivers. They're doing running back by committee. Their offense is just in disarray. And now they got to play Green Bay.
Yeah. But nothing else to say. I didn't really watch this game, to be honest, but
I saw a little bits and pieces of it, but that's only because Lamar in my fantasy league. I just wanted to check on him a little bit, see how he was doing. 4 touchdowns. I was just like, okay, man, this is ridiculous. Let me go ahead and watch something else. And I was actually in my hotel room at that particular moment when we got back from, the festivities in Munich. But yeah, and then after that, I just, went and watched something else. I think I just saw the closing parts of the Bears game, then turned over to the Ravens and Patriots. And yeah, it wasn't really much special that I watched.
Yeah. We both took the Ravens, so I'm 4-3. My uncle's 3-4. Next game was the Jets versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, they get back on track. Pretty much blow out and handle the Jets.
Yep.
Obviously good for them to get back on track after where they were headed. They weren't in a good shape, but they get back on track. Nothing expected much of the Jets. Pretty much that. Anything else you need to say? Otherwise, we're good.
Well, I got to admit, we did say that, the Jets, after beating the Browns the way they did, that, I think that in itself opened the eyes of the Cincinnati Bengals, and then the Cincinnati Bengals just put them away. Yeah, so no, nothing really special I want to say about this game. But we both picked the Bengals.
No, I picked the Jets. You picked the Bengals. I picked the Jets.
Such a shame.
So right now we're both equally tied up at 4-4.
You sipped that tea?
I thought with the way at the time, I thought the way the Bengals were playing and then the way the Jets were coming in, I thought maybe the Jets at home could sneak a freaking game and get another game.
Oh, well.
So that's good. That's good for Bengals. Philadelphia versus Washington. Philadelphia absolutely blew them out.
Beat this shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse my French. Man, shit. I mean, Lord have mercy. It was just an Alabama show between Hurts and Devonta Smith, man. It was just the Commanders. They should have kept the Washington football team. They were more appealing to me if they would have kept that WFT moniker. But no, they want to be the Commanders, and they didn't command nothing.
Yeah.
Devonta I think at one point, what was 24-2?
Yeah.
That was just.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith commanded them. So
commanded them greatly. Yes.
Nothing else to say.
And now they got to play. Man, they got to play Dallas. I'm not a fan of Dallas, but that defense is lit.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. The New Orleans Saints versus the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers somehow pull off the upset. So that Saints offense. It was bad in the Tampa Bay game, and it was bad here in this game. They just could not get nothing going.
Something's wrong with James. I think he's. I don't think
it's that back injury. That back injury where he has fractures in his back.
He's not healthy. You can tell by the way he was playing. He wasn't 100%. And then on top of it, they brought in the Red Rocket.
Hey, that's the next best guy, unless you want to go to Taysom Hill, who can't really throw.
He can't throw, but at least he can move the chains.
So yeah, maybe.
But with those wide receivers they got, they need someone that can actually throw the rock.
Yeah, maybe it's best for Jameis to probably go get checked out by the doctors, see what the prognosis of the doctors is, and say, "Hey, dude, you might just need to probably sit out because you got back fractures." And I think probably
he's not. Clearly, I don't know what percentage he is. 50, 60, 70, 80. He definitely ain't 100%. And you can definitely tell by the way he was playing.
Yeah. I didn't really watch this game, so I don't really know what the Panthers do on offense. Hey, they just got to win, so it gets them on track in the NFC South. Right now, Saints got to look better on offense. Other than that, heck, even if you go back to the Week 1 performance, their offense until they finally caught on fire, it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
So
I can see if Jameis is not 100%, them looking towards a quarterback in next draft.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. Yeah. Well, they got. I think they have Ian Book. They drafted Ian Book, but hey, who knows? Who knows? I'm just throwing it out.
That's all you need to know. Notre Dame. That's all you need to know.
Anyways, we both took the Saints. So we're both 5-5 each. Okay. Next game, probably shocker of the week. The Los Angeles Chargers getting manhandled by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the
Yeah,
Jacksonville huh?
I picked the Jaguars.
No, we both picked LAC. You said
But I picked
if
I,
Justin Herbert plays, you're taking the Chargers, and he played.
you wrote that. You got that on video?
Yeah, I got it on the sheet too.
Yeah, I did say that. But now everybody knows the Jags are for real.
Yep.
Jags are for real. They can run, they can throw, they can defend, they can get to the quarterback, they can stop the run. Doug Peterson has an amazing effect on this football club. Problem with Doug Peterson is usually he just has that effect for 1 or 2 years.
Yep.
But this year he's had an amazing effect on the football team, and the Chargers are hurting. They're hurting bad.
Yeah,
the Jags the brakes off of them.
Yeah, it's not only bad with the fact that Justin Herbert, he's kind of nicked up with that rib injury because there was times he was getting tackled, and you can see on the broadcast, he's like, oh, you can tell, okay, that's getting to him.
He couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
He really couldn't. And I don't know if black jacket on or not. He probably did, but I mean, that didn't help at all.
He even took they even took pain, the painkiller.
Yeah.
The pain injection shot.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. My friend who's on our coaching staff at my high school, he went to the game and let's just say he wasn't enjoying it. But Joey Bosa, he gets hurt. He has like a groin injury, so he's out now. So guess what? That makes Khalil Mack's job a lot tougher because now guess what?
He's gonna get double teamed.
He's gonna get double teamed as opposed to we don't know who's gonna double team. Guyton, he ends up tearing his ACL. I saw that, and I'm like, oh, he must have tore something in there because he was holding.
Who's it?
Guyton, number 5, the receiver for the Chargers.
Oh, yeah,
Darius Guyton. Yeah, when that injury happened, he got tackled. And he was holding his knee on the broadcast.
He's in that receiver room anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to lose another one,
the Charger, and then they lost, and then the Chargers lost their all-pro tackle Rashawn Slater. He out for the season.
Out for the season.
Now they got, this is not going good. When the year that people thought the Chargers were going to win the division, in 3 weeks it went from bad to worse. Your quarterback gets hurt and
you had something Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You had some prognosticators talking about Super Bowl. So, and I gotta admit, I was actually thinking, you know what, this team could actually do it, but injury, man, is game changing. I know football sport is a physical sport, it's a collision sport, not a contact sport, and you never know what's going to happen from one game to the next. And the Chargers have been devastated, and we're only 3 weeks in.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the thing with the Chargers as of late, the last few years. They have a good team on paper. They're always getting hurt at the most inopportune times, and they're very
correct.
And it's very unlucky stuff right there.
But it's the injuries that they have.
Yeah.
The problem is they're not nitpicky injuries. They're not injuries in which, it's going to be day to day, week to week, questionable here, questionable there. You got guys that's missing, weeks on end, and one who's actually missing the season. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's football, and hopefully the Chargers has some type of depth to be able to maintain. I personally don't think they do.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, the only thing you can rely on the fact that if they don't win the division, maybe they make a wild card, but that obviously starts with Justin Herbert getting healthy. Maybe they tell Herbert, hey, give it a week or 2 off. We'll see if we can hold the fort down without you, but we'll see. Right now, our timer
without their best linebacker, with their best running back and their best quarterback being limited, don't know.
Yeah. Right now, our timer is up. We'll come back and we'll be doing the rest of the recap. We only got a few more games, and then we'll give our predictions for next week. So see you then.
Okay.
All right. So I forgot to mention, right now, me and my Uncle Daryl, right now we're still tied, 5-6. So
I told you, I texted you. It was a rough week.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't expect the Saints to lose. We didn't expect the Raiders to lose. I mean,
I expected them to lose.
the Raiders. You picked the
Yeah,
Tennessee Titans.
I took Titans.
I picked. I didn't expect the Raiders to. I really didn't. I really thought the Raiders would dominate. You know, just the Saints. You know, it, and I picked the Chargers.
Yep, we both picked the Chargers.
Correct. So it was just like it was just a rough week. 6 losses after just that's a lot.
Yeah. Next game. Another game that didn't go our way. We both chose Arizona. It was the Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals. Rams had their way with the Cardinals all game. It was just, the Cardinals are kind of outmatched. There's nothing really the Cardinals could do. We both took the Cardinals based on the way the Rams were playing as of late, but the Rams, when they had key moments in the game, they had to get stops. They got those stops and they made those plays. Simple enough.
They just dominated. I mean, just total domination. No sense of, now the score don't really show that they dominated, but at the same time, and looking at tidbits of the game and multiple screens, it wasn't one of those games that just drew my attention.
Yeah. All right, moving on. The game that is the tiebreaker here, which I think wins you this week, was the Falcons versus the Seattle Seahawks. I didn't see a lick of this game, so I honestly do not know what the hell happened here. All I know is the Falcons won. My uncle took the Falcons. I took Seattle.
Drake London balled out. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't watch two bad teams play football because why would I do it?
It was one of them games for me, again, just like the Rams and Cardinals. You have a game up on multiple screens, and it just wasn't one of them games that just drew my eye.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is the tiebreaker because looking at the rest of the thing, that's kind of the thing. So right now, my record is 5-8. My Uncle Daryl's record is 6-7. Next game, Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Green Bay goes into Tampa and wins because Tampa made too many damn mistakes. They kept turning the ball over.
This was an ugly ass game.
Yeah,
it was ugly. It was just mistakes after mistakes after mistakes after mistakes. This was a game that, with all the mistakes that was in it, you really couldn't tell that these quarterbacks were Hall of Fame quarterbacks. It was just horrible to watch. It was just ugly. I mean, the only way that anyone could be entertained with this game is if you were a fan of the Packers or Buccaneers.
Well, I guess more the Packers because they won the game.
Yeah, because they won, but it was just ugly. It really was.
Yeah, mistakes.
Defenses look good.
Yeah,
but it was just
there was a lot
ugly.
There were a lot of mistakes, especially morally on the Tampa Bay side of things.
Correct.
It's starting to go to show that Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Julio Jones, at least one of them's got to play to make that offense look somewhat competent. Because with all of them out, well, then that's a problem. And their offense did not
hurt. Godwin hurt, and I think Evans was he was suspended for that. So he got a week reprieve. So let's see how it goes with them next week. But the Buccaneers, when fully healthy, I think is probably one of the better teams in the NFC.
Yeah. So record wise, from 5-9, my uncle's 6-8. We were talking about boring games. Holy shit. This was excuse my language, but this was a snooze fest.
Oh, the 49ers and Broncos. I know the one you about to. Oh my God.
So we all remember that the 49ers, they were moving the ball efficiently last week, but that was against Seattle Seahawks. When you put them against a competent defense, well, it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo. It looks like Jimmy Garoppolo from last year. And you can see why. They're like, okay, we need Trey Lance up in here. Yeah, they did not move the ball whatsoever. And the same goes with the Denver Broncos. Their offense is anemic, which now when I look at the Bears offense and the fact that Russell Wilson's having struggles, that's maybe why I'm a little bit like, okay, Justin Fields, it's on you. But still, I guess I don't blame it because it seems like this Green Bay offense is dang near confusing unless you're Aaron Rodgers, because that's pretty much Aaron Rodgers' offense you're running. But defenses were great. Defenses were great.
Defense was real. Well, I mean, you got two guys that couldn't really put up any points. So was it the defense or was it the quarterbacks?
I'd say more of the defense.
Know, I'll go with the defense as well too, because I gotta admit, man, they pretty much they put Garoppolo on the move. They kept Russell Wilson in the pocket, kept him from getting out. And the Broncos, they just been anemic the entire season. So I don't know, they've just been anemic. I don't know what the cause is. They got a decent wide receiver core. They got a good running back. The offensive line seems solid. Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. I wouldn't say he's a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback. The defense plays lights out. So I can't understand what the hell is going on with this offense. I can't. Yeah. So the 49ers, on the other hand, if you stop the run, you can beat the 49ers, which is what wound up happening with the Broncos. I mean, how many times have you ever seen a football game where the final score is 11-10? It was just an ugly football game. But I think we both took the 49ers.
Yeah, we did.
I'm correct.
Yeah. So, the funny thing, again, we're Bears fans, and we always say do not put the Bears on primetime, especially against Green Bay, because it's going to be the most boring game you would ever watch. That game last week against the Packers was more.
Yeah, don't put these two on primetime either. The 49ers and Broncos, add them to the list because their offenses were horrible.
Well, guess what? The 49ers will be on primetime on Monday night next week.
Against who?
The Rams.
Oh, I figured it'd be the Rams.
Yep.
That's Rams.
So, like I said, we're Bears fans, and we don't like when they put Green Bay versus Chicago on primetime. That game was more interesting than this game. I was playing college football on my Xbox 360 while listening to this game on the side because that's how boring it was.
Yeah, I got to admit, man, I was just.
All right, whatever. It was a good. If you like defense, you like defense.
I'm over. I have to get up a lot of times, 2:00 in the morning to watch these games, and I gotta admit, I rolled over for this one and went right back to sleep. It was just that damn bad.
Monday night game: Dallas versus the New York Giants. Dallas Cowboys ended up pulling out. They pretty much scored the touchdown thanks to CeeDee Lamb, and they kind of just pulled away. The thing with the Giants is they had some offensive line issues. Evan Neal was absolutely getting eaten alive.
He was getting blasted. I remember one play, man, they put Micah Parsons in front of him, and he is trying to assimilate his speed off the ball, and I think he had a false start penalty. Seconds before, the quarterback just got right behind the center. Once Daniel Jones got right behind the center, Neal gone. Man. So Micah Parsons, as dominant as he is, he's an amazing football player. And I think Dallas got them a good one, obviously, for sure. But, and I think, I don't know, didn't I pick the Giants this one?
We both
picked the Cowboys.
We both picked the Giants.
We both picked the Giants? I don't know, man. That Cowboys defense is nice.
Yeah. Sterling Shepard. Go ahead.
Say again?
I said Sterling Shepard, he went down with a non-contact injury, pretty much tore his ACL.
Yeah, I saw a real freak injury. I think his career's over. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. It's not that the Giants didn't look too bad from the highlights. They looked fine. It's just that goes to show you how good that Cowboys defense is.
That pass rush is nice. Daniel Jones was flustered. Daniel Jones was shaking. Daniel Jones was scared, or at least that's how it looked to me.
So, hey, that's what happens. So the week ended with me going 5-11 on my predictions, and then my Uncle Daryl, he ends up winning this week at 6-10. If I had taken one of these games that my Uncle Daryl didn't take, we would have ended in a tie. But hey, we didn't end in a tie this week. We were this close, though.
I gotta admit, 6-10, 5-11, whatever. That's just bad.
Yeah,
that's just bad. But it just goes to show you how difficult, picking games is on a week-to-week basis because anything can really happen. I mean, that the tagline is true.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
And
Any given Sunday.
And mind you, we're just taking predictions. We're not taking like the spread into account or anything. We're not doing all like stuff.
Yeah, all of that crap. I'm not into all of that, but I mean, I prefer to just do it straight up.
Yeah. So right now, my uncle is 2-1. He's leading the predictions for the week stuff and everything. So that's kind of the thing going on.
6-10. I'm not proud of it.
Yeah. All right. Let's get.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's get to our week 4 predictions. So we're starting off Thursday night. This video is probably gonna go up. Well, I'll see when this video goes up. Starting off on a good game for Thursday night. Miami Dolphins versus the Cincinnati Bengals. This is going to be a tough one to choose. Now, the only thing that I found interesting, I laughing my butt off going to this week, is the fact that Tyreek Hill, he had a press conference and he was like, "Oh, Eli Apple? Oh, I can't wait to see that guy again. I own him pretty much." All right. Now the Bengals are at home, and you know what? I think I'm going to go Miami on the road here. I think Tyreek Hill, he means what he says. I think he's going to get Eli Apple. And I think that pass rush for the Dolphins can get home, unlike the Jets did. I think this will be a close game. Potentially could be another like freaking firework game where it's just back and forth, high-scoring game. But I think Miami, they've shown me a lot. I think they continue this momentum and they win in Cincinnati.
I'm gonna sip the tea for one more week, and I'm gonna go with Cincinnati at home. I really don't want to, but I really do like how they played last week, albeit it was against the Jets in New York. So I'm gonna go with Cincinnati reluctantly, but I'll pick Cincinnati.
Okay. Next game, the Chicago Bears with the New York Giants. I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bears as the team that I think the Bears can beat, potentially based on the quarterback play. If Justin Fields sucks again for a 4th straight week, this will be a close game. Maybe potentially with the Bears losing. What?
You're going with the Bears on the road?
Yeah. First, I think defensively, now I said in my game recap, defensively, the defensive line, they need to get more pressure. Now, the way I saw the freaking Giants struggle to block the rush, and sometimes they were just 4-man rush. I think Trevis Gibson, and I think Robert Quinn, who needs to definitely get on track, put him on Evan Neal. We'll see what happens there. Secondary-wise, I don't know. I think the secondary still get torched because Jalen Johnson sounds like he could be out multiple weeks. Offensively, we can run the ball, and it looks like that New York Giants run defense is a little suspect as well because they were letting even freaking Ezekiel Elliott run all over the place. So that, again, if Justin Fields, if this is his coming out game where he has a good game, a solid performance, I think the Bears win handily. If he continues to struggle and he sucks again like the last 3 weeks, Giants potentially could win, or the Bears win just barely again. So, but I'm going with Chicago.
All right. I'm going to go with the Giants.
Okay.
I keep thinking about Saquon Barkley.
That is true. I forgot to take that into factor.
Keep thinking about Saquon Barkley. Now, granted, they did lose Sterling Shepard, and we just talked about my feelings on that. Are my feelings on that? I think Daniel Jones is competent enough to make the plays to beat the Bears. The Bears defensively are playing good, but I just don't think that defense is good enough to go on the road and play well. I
don't blame you. This is a toss-em game. This is a toss-em-up game.
It's really, granted, both teams are having struggles. I just can't see the Bears being the team that come up and beat.
Yeah. Well, you get over there, your screen froze. Hold on a quick second, guys.
Let's see.
All right, moving on from that game. Next game, the Vikings at the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to go with the Vikings because the Saints offense has not looked good as of late. And again, this Vikings defense is pretty good. Again, this Saints defense is still solid as well. But I'm just gonna go with the Vikings just strictly for the fact that the Saints offense does not look good. And I swear I'm gonna look like a dang idiot if the Saints just offensively click all of a sudden this week. But we'll see. I'm going Vikings.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Vikings too. I just don't like. I just don't like how Jameis looks. I really don't. And I think the Vikings, even though they're 2-1, for me, they haven't really had that bust out breakout, offensive performance that, and I just don't think that they've had it just yet. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings.
Next game, Cleveland at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm gonna be honest, Cleveland has not looked really impressive. They haven't really.
On the ground, they have.
Yeah, they have on the ground. Even though they haven't looked impressive, I'm still gonna take them. I could see Atlanta potentially pulling off an upset. If you lose to the Jets, I would not be shocked if the Falcons could pull the upset off. But I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns. I think they're gonna stick by that run, and I think they're gonna gas the Falcons. But I would not be shocked if Atlanta finds a way to win.
I wouldn't be shocked as well either. I'm gonna go with Cleveland as well, typically because of that run game. And Jacoby Brissett is still a competent quarterback. I mean, he rarely makes mistakes that'll kill you. He'll make mistakes, but rarely does he make the mistakes that really kill you. So, and with that running game, his skill set is actually pretty good. It's heightened just a little bit because of the running game. I'm gonna go with Cleveland.
Yeah. Next game, Washington.
However, don't know if Myles Garrett is going to play.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a car accident because he tried.
That's right.
He was in a car accident, so not necessarily sure if he's going to play. But I still think the running game would be sufficient enough to beat the Falcons, even without Myles Garrett.
They don't have Jadeveon Clowney either. Isn't he dinged up too?
I think he's scheduled to miss as well.
You know what? I'm gonna change my pick. I'm going Atlanta.
You going Atlanta? Okay, I'll stay with Cleveland. Wait a minute, where are they?
Huh? They're in Atlanta.
They're in Atlanta?
Yes. I can change my pick right now.
I'm change mine too. I'm gonna go with the Falcons. I just don't. Defense can travel, but it's really hard to travel with a defense when you don't have your two best defenders. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Atlanta.
Okay. Next game, Washington versus Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas. Their offense didn't look that good, but I'm going to go Dallas winning close, probably like 17-14.
Yeah, Dallas looked good, strictly from the sense that Cooper Rush didn't make any mistakes. He handed the ball off. He threw when he had to throw. He didn't make any mistakes. He allowed that defense to be great, and I think he'll do the same thing against the Commanders. The Commanders, on the other hand, they're just a disarray. They're just a disarray waiting to happen.
Yep. Moving on, Seattle Seahawks versus Detroit Lions. I'm gonna go with the Detroit Lions again, just from the standpoint they're at home, they're playing tough, and I think they're a better team than Seattle should ever be.
You have to think about it. It's going to be Detroit. Detroit's been playing really great offensive football all year long. I think this past week against the Vikings was their lowest point total in one game this year. So yeah, I expect them to put another 30 spot up because they put 30 up in the first two games, and I think they'll put 30 up again this game. They're gonna beat them, and they should beat them pretty decently too.
Yeah. Next game, Tennessee Titans versus the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one.
I'm gonna go with, you know, the Colts, even though they won the game, they won it just by the skin of the teeth, and the Chiefs mostly beat themselves that game. So I'm gonna go Tennessee. I think they're gonna continue getting back on track the way they get back on, and I think they're gonna win this game against the Colts. The Colts are gonna
I
be at
like
home.
the culture at home,
Yes.
and I'm gonna go with the Colts simply from the standpoint of them being at their crib.
Okay.
I think they can do the right things to. The Colts got a quarterback that can throw. Tennessee don't.
Yeah.
The backs cancel each other out, in my opinion.
Yep. Moving on. This could be an interesting game here. Game to watch. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
So Doug Peterson returning back to Philadelphia for the first time since he got fired. I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I almost called them the Phillies. The Eagles, because their offense just looks like it's humming, and it looks like nobody can stop this offense right now. Devontae Smith, he's going crazy. AJ Brown is going crazy.
Yeah.
I just don't think the Jaguars, they don't have the type of talent that the Eagles have on offense and on defense. I'm going Eagles. Probably winning by two scores. Winning by two scores.
Winning by two scores?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think I like the Jacksonville Jaguars, what they've done. I think Doug Peterson, we've said it over the few weeks, has done some amazing things with this football club. Going into Philadelphia and getting a win by him being one of their ex-coaches would be a really good notch in their belt. That said, Nick Sirianni has had a really good effect on Jalen Hurts. And I like what the Philadelphia defense has been doing over the last couple of weeks. And I do like Philadelphia at home, but only because they're at home.
Okay. Next game. This could be an upset game with the way this team plays. That's the New York Jets versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh because they're home. And Trubisky, he's younger, and he should be better than Joe Flacco. But I would not be shocked if the Jets find some way to win this freaking game because the Pittsburgh Steelers on offense look anemic with Trubisky at the helm.
Yeah. I like the Pittsburgh defense against Joe Flacco. However, the Jets do have two really good running backs, and Michael Carter and Bryce Hall. So, but it's a road.
Garrett Wilson too, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, they do got a really good slew of guys in that backfield. But at the same time, again, I really like that Pittsburgh defense against Joe Flacco, who's he can't move. So I'll go with Pittsburgh as well too, and I think they can get that W. I don't see it as being a blowout though. I'll probably say something like 2019 or something like that.
Yeah. Interesting game to watch. Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go with the Bills. They still look pretty good on the road. It's just they beat themselves. They didn't execute enough. Josh Allen, I think he's still killing it. I think he's put the team on his back. They're going to get a win in Baltimore. Now, to the chagrin, Baltimore, I can see Baltimore winning this game, especially with the fact that Buffalo, they lost a lot of guys. And we didn't mention this in our recap, for the week, but Bills lost pretty much dang near their entire secondary. The one guy got hurt in the Monday night game. Hopefully he's doing better. Micah Hyde, he's freaking out for the season.
Yep.
And then Jordan Poyer, he's out, and I think he's on their D line.
Well, and then on top of that, J.K. Dobbins is back for Baltimore.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that Lamar Jackson's in a contract year, and I'm going to keep saying it from week to week. Lamar Jackson in the contract year, he is playing out of his mind football to get that money. So I honestly didn't like what I saw out of Buffalo last week, but I think that was primarily because that I mean, man, they just didn't really have anybody to do anything. I mean, Diggs was covered. They really just didn't have a second wide receiver. Buffalo did that can actually do anything. Buffalo does what Buffalo always does. They don't really run the ball. But yeah, I like Baltimore, especially now that Dobbins is back. So I'll go Baltimore.
Yep. Moving on. This game happened last year, and this team pulled off the upset, and that's the Chargers versus the Houston Texans. Like I said, they played last year, and Houston Texans made the Chargers suffer one of their worst losses last year. Now, the Houston Texans are at home. This is going to be an interesting game just from the standpoint, what do the Chargers do? Do they get a win that they should win against a team that they should, beat? Or what
They
do you
got to do that, though.
Yeah.
They got to have bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, and then on top of that, the bodies they put on the field have to be 100%. You just can't put a 50% body and get 75, 80% effort. So, I mean, to me, that's where we are with the Chargers.
Yeah.
So, I've been picking the Chargers. I picked the Chargers week 1, 2, and 3. But what I saw out of weeks 2 and 3 just was not appealing. And the Texans really have played very good football. So, at home, I tell you what, I'm gonna stay with them one more week. I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
You want the Texans at home? Even with the Texans at home?
I'm not gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I think the Chargers. I mean, one more week, I'll go with them. But I think they're still good enough, currently constructed, to get a win in Houston.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers as well. I'll go with them just from the standpoint they remember that they should remember this what happened last year, and they should get payback for what happened last year.
They should, but again, they gotta have bodies to do it. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I don't foresee any blowouts on either end. I can't see the Chargers going in there into Houston and beating them by 3 touchdowns, and I definitely can't see Houston. They just don't have that type of offense to ring up those kind of points. But I think the Chargers can go up in there and maintain. We'd have to get out of there with a W.
Yep. Arizona versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going Arizona. I think they get back on track. That's just my thoughts.
I mean, it just seems like every time I go against the Carolina Panthers, man, the Carolina Panthers they win. I think last week I said, Baker he'll be benched by week 7. I think I said something like that. But who's the home team? I got to find
Carolina. Carolina.
Yeah. But Carolina at home is the environment that Arizona plays in anyway. So yeah, I'll say Arizona will go up in there and get a win. It won't be a big one, but it'll be a close one. But I think they can go up in there and get a win.
We're getting to the late games. New England versus Green Bay. Green Bay should win. If Mac Jones is playing, I would give New England a chance.
Mac Jones is not playing. And Brian Hoyer, for me, is not good enough to go up in. I mean, you got a piss poor wide receiver room. You do running back committee, and now you're gonna throw in the backup quarterback against top 3 quarterback in the league. And it's in Green Bay. No, Green Bay gonna win this by 3 scores.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about 9-0 or they're gonna win by 3 TDs.
Yep. Next game, Denver versus Las Vegas.
Oh God.
I'm gonna go with Las Vegas at home because that Denver offense has not been fairly good, but I would not be shocked if Denver somehow wins. If Las Vegas loses this game, I'm not even gonna probably pick them again.
First of all, I'm not interested in watching either one of these two teams play, but this is one of those games where Devontae Adams should just have a ball out game. If he's as pissed off as he say he is, you get in that wide receiver room, you get with your coaches, be like, listen, just get me the damn ball and we'll win. So yes, I'll go with the Raiders to win this game too.
All right. Sunday night game. And mind you, we only got 3 late afternoon games. I don't know what's going on, but you couldn't add Bills versus Ravens to the late afternoon game.
Oh, yeah, man, that game right there should have been a nationally televised game. That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, that should be late afternoon. It's a morning game. The late afternoon games we got are Arizona versus Carolina, New England versus Green Bay, and Denver versus Las Vegas.
Oh wow, that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Hey, they can flex it. They can flex it.
Well, I gotta admit, at least because of the time difference here, I'll be able to get to see some pretty good games, before going to bed.
Sunday night game is the Kansas City Chiefs versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So a rematch of the Super Bowl in the same building that the Bucs won the Super Bowl in. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs this time, just from the standpoint. I don't know what the receiver, injury thing is. Now, Mike Evans should be coming back for this week. But I think the Chiefs are going to play pissed off because they had the game in Indy and they lost it. And they lost it because they got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that kept that Colts drive alive when they had them stopped. I think the Tampa Bay defense is going to be really good, but I think the Chiefs are going to come out squeaking by.
The only thing that I would probably say to you would be that Tampa Bay defense is really good. Tampa Bay defense is really good. And and Kansas City really does not run the football as much as they should. Sometimes they can be a little one-dimensional, and that's probably what did them in against the Colts. So I'll go with Tampa Bay because they're at home. They lost 2. And my Evans will be back.
Last game, Monday night game, Rams versus San Francisco.
Rams.
Yeah.
I don't care where that game at. Rams.
Yeah. The Rams last year in the playoffs made Jimmy G look irrelevant. I think the same thing will happen here. So that's our.
Just for conversation's sake, where's that game at?
Huh?
Where's that game at? Just
San Francisco.
It don't matter. Rams gonna win.
Yeah. So that was our recap of the week for last week, and then as well as the predictions. But other than that, that's kind of it. Again, look forward to not only our recap for next week, as well as the predictions for week 4 and 5 of next week for the NFL, as well as on Sunday, get our thoughts, in-depth thoughts on the Chicago Bears, if they win or lose against the New York Giants. We'll be there to give it all, stuff like that. But other than that, guys, if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on the weeks of football that's going on, as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more Game for 15 Talk sports content on the channel. Till then, guys, see you guys later. Peace.